Hi guys. I promised a commenter that I would address a question. So she said something like, and y'all can ask whatever questions you want to, obviously, as always. That's why I do these lives, but also sometimes something comes up that's interesting, right? So she said, why does nobody just address that men are so bad in bed? And that's why women don't want to have sex. And then she said, that's the most Googled thing is why are men bad in bed? Or like, that's like a commonly Googled thing, whatever. You could see it's a thread back and forth underneath a recent post or something. And while certainly I try to help both genders understand what the other one wants in bed, when those things are like big things, like people, and that's men too, like foreplay. A woman's orgasm, is going to be better in the before ovulation than after, whatever, these things that I talk about. But remember, every woman is different, so men cannot be just bad in bed. Like, women have different erotic blueprints. So there's plenty of women who don't want any foreplay at all. And they think it's like bad if the guy wants to engage in a lot of kissing. Other women feel like it's pretty terrible to just start intercourse. And they want a lot of foreplay and a lot of buildup and a lot of edging, right? So those two women could be, women from each of those camps could sleep with the same guy, and one will think that he's really good and one will think he's really bad, So when women think, like this woman thought, that's why don't men just get better in bed? There's a big variable missing, which is that a lot of women are really awkward and feel really shy around expressing what they want in bed. And every woman is different. Certainly a clitoris is where a clitoris is, but women like it to be touched differently, etc., right? So, you can't just, we'll be in session and I'll say, oh, how do you touch her? How do you this? How do you that? And then I'll say to the woman, do you like this? Do you like that? And whatever we come to with one woman is different than another woman, than the next session that I have. So this idea that somehow men are supposed to just be better in bed, I mean, that's like as stupid as saying like that, somebody should just be better at music, like somebody will like one band, another person will hate that band. Sex is very subjective, there are certain things like having good hygiene, right? Like understanding that you're supposed to shower and brush your teeth, like being open to feedback, like not being critical. There are like large variables that mean that you are better in bed. And I actually have a post coming out around ways that you can tell if you're bad in bed. And a lot of them focus on rigidity, closed-mindedness, and I do have one about hygiene. But if women are thinking that the guy's supposed to magically unlock them with no help, that is bullshit. That's not real. That's as much out of porn as the stuff that guys get wrong, Certainly there are things that are wrong, like, for example, like I can give big statistics. 75% of women don't orgasm from penetration. So if you're a guy who thinks that women are just going to orgasm from penetration and you don't think that is a long shot, then that would make you, I guess, undereducated / bad in bed. But remember, plenty of women ask me stupid questions too. Like, so many things, right? Like, why does he want it to take so long? Like, what's all this drawn out stuff? Or, basically, I thought that oral sex was only until we were having regular sex. Or, why would he want to do anything different if this is what works? And they mean it for real, So both men and women can say things that are uneducated about the wide vista of what sex is, but in terms of what any individual partner wants, that's going to be based on their erotic blueprint, their history, their past experiences, if they're a woman, what time of the month it is, where their hormones are, their age, their stage, so many things. So what is necessary, of course, is communication, right? So you have to communicate about what you like in bed and what you don't. And if you're people that don't even know what there is not to know because you are raised in purity culture or you didn't have any sex before you got married or what have you, then you can look stuff up. There's some resource, OMG, yes. You could look at erotic stories, the book Come As You Are or Wanting Sex Again. There's a lot of books that are like literal education about the body, and you could try things from there. I have a comment, and everybody who's watching, please send me a like. Dane says, an expectation of knowledge and a lack of feedback. I've been with my fair share of women who have just thought all the effort required from them is to lay there like a dead fish. Exactly. So a lot of women think that basically good sex is when a man has a vagina, to work with there, and that's what he wants. And so that's good for him to be provided access to that vagina. And of course, that's not true, right? So a woman can engage in lots of erotic acts, foreplay and touching and all sorts of things. And a woman who's good in bed would do that. But if somebody doesn't know, like, anything, that's both genders. Like, there are people who literally have no idea about anything related to sex because they were raised super sex negative. But once people have a cursory understanding, my point is that that does not transfer, like to every partner exactly. Like, two people together have to shape their sex life. Two people have to say what they like, what they don't like. And if your partner is very bad at receiving feedback, then that's likely an issue that transcends sex, that goes everywhere. And I have a podcast called Why Negative Critical Guys, Don't Get Sex or whatever. Because you can't be sexually open with a negative, closed, critical guy. And that's true. You also can't be sexually open with a negative, closed, critical woman, but I talk about that constantly because women are generally more sex negative, than men because they're trained not to be sluts or whatever the stupidity is. So that is why men are, quote, bad in bed. They're not bad in bed. If you have been with a man that you thought was bad in bed and you left him without teaching him anything, then was this your damn problem, right? I mean, you didn't make him better in bed. People could only learn. It would be like if you went to a parent-teacher night and the Spanish teacher said, your kid doesn't know any Spanish, bad at Spanish. You're like, did you try to teach him Spanish? And they're like, no, on the first day, I said hola, he just looked at me. So I said it's a lost case, he's done. No Spanish for him. Bad at Spanish. It's like, do you even try to teach him Spanish? You're supposed to teach him the damn Spanish. So that's the kind of thing that women will say, oh, sex isn't good. Well, did you teach him anything? How am I supposed to know? I don't know. Well, then nobody here knows, so it's nobody's fault. And together you can try different things and figure them out. This is where I have my podcast. There is a type of porn that is good for sex lives called erotic stories, because you can actually read what people do. And that's often much less overstimulating and gross for women than visual porn, which some women are very turned off by. Many women are. All right, so I'll take any questions, and please do send your likes if you are watching this. But, I thought that one was interesting to answer in live format. And some of these lives I do post on YouTube later. And of course they stay on Facebook as well. So do any of y'all have any questions about the bad in bed topic or anything else related to relationships, intimacy, or anything? And when there are big, overarching things that apply, myths about women's orgasms or whatever, why men like oral sex, I write things like that. When there are things that a large percent of people want and think, then I put them in. But as for a man providing an optimized sexual experience without any feedback, how could anybody do that in any area? That's impossible. Everybody is different. Sam says, thanks, Psych Mom, Dr. Psych Mom. It means the world to me when my wife and I are intimate that she smiles and looks into my eyes. Way cool. See, so that's something that's very important to him, right? Ken says, hi, Ken, you gotta learn from some of these that women can be sex positive. But anyway, no experience, no practice. You don't know if you're bad in bed. Yeah, sure. So there are people who are raised very religious and they're told not to have sex before marriage. Then somehow that's supposed to flip on the wedding night and then sex is supposed to be fun. How's that going to happen? How's that gonna happen? It's not gonna happen. How's that gonna happen? They were told everything was so negative. The woman basically had to completely submerge her sex drive under the surface to the point that it's possibly not there ever because she was so scared of it. And now on the wedding night, it's supposed to come back? How? That doesn't even make any sense, you know? So those are a lot of people that are in my office, and they're basically trying to rebuild the wheel for the first time, you know? Because reinvent the wheel rather, because they don't know what they don't know, and those are people that benefit from a lot of guidance and exploration and talking about things and talking about, you know, sex and what they think about and whatever. And it's very difficult for people raised sex negative to grow sex positive, but it's not impossible, certainly, and I help people do that, and so do people at my practice. Heather is a sexologist. She can work with you. I have other people. Everybody that I hire is sex positive and comfortable discussing sexual issues in session. But Heather, actually, that's her specialty. She's not a therapist. She's an intimacy coach. She's a sexologist. So y'all could always work with Heather as well. If you're somebody who's like, literally, how do I go down on a woman? I literally have no idea. So she has workshops for things like that. But still, when Heather does her workshop, she will say, some women like this, some women like this. You know, it's like not... Or when she has her individual session, because I don't think we have any more workshops on the books right now. But the point is like, if you think a guy's bad in bed, did you try to make him better in bed? You know, it's like, how's he going to know? It's like saying that somebody's bad at conversation, but all you're bringing to the conversation is, Well, I mean, are they then bad at conversation? Or are they bad at providing like an AI generated, like perfectly attuned entertainment experience? That's not what sex is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be the woman laying there like a bath mat and the guy like doing sex at her. Like that's not what an intimate life is. And if that is what your sex life looks like, then you guys should be working with somebody. You should be thinking about, because listen, I have literally never seen that the sex life is garbage, but the rest of the marriage is fire, as the children say. It's just not real. So as I have a podcast, Everything is Fine in Our Marriage Except Sex. And it discusses how I'd never seen that in my life. You know, sure, like maybe sex waxes and wanes. Woman just had a baby, woman's going through menopause, whatever. But it's never that a couple is completely like disconnected in the bedroom and has never built up any steam there. But the rest of the marriage is just awesome. That isn't true. Sex is not this like rarefied, like sacred, like thing. It is an area of the relationship where people are close and connected and communicate.